Larry, Happy New Year. I'm sure you
Dale,
or your
Happy New
brother.
Year, my friend.
Hey, I know it's the 29th, but for you and me, this is our first chance to say Happy New Year to each other. I hope it's a great one for you and all of your subscribers, your family. How you handling this volatility, Larry?
Well, I'll tell you what, Monday sure was a bit of a wake up call, huh?
Uh, yeah, I was happy.
Yeah, yeah, big shakeout. But yeah,
Yeah.
everything is going pretty good. A
All
little bit of a
right.
shakeout on Monday.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's see, as well as talk about what you're looking at.
All
Are
right,
you able to share? I'm not
oh
sure
yeah,
if
let me do share my screen. Let's do share.
I'm not
Says
sure if
someone else is
there you
okay.
go. It's coming
Request,
up.
and then we'll go to share, and then
Okay,
we'll
I'm going to
share.
allow. All right, there you go.
Can you see my spy screen?
It's coming up. There you go. Got it.
Okay. So why don't we all let you just take the conversation? I'll go wherever you want.
Okay. So we made, finally took out 6,100, and there wasn't a lot of fanfare. What do you do in this environment? And do you recall trading Trump 1.0? And does this feel, I know it's only been a week so far, does it feel similar that your head has to be on a swivel? It's harder to hold things because of really things not having a lot of follow through. I mean, to me, it looks like, we've been choppy since the August low. Looks like a range. Um, you still looking for higher numbers here?
Yeah, yeah, I am. I do think we go
Okay.
higher.
Okay.
I've got a couple concerns. So my biggest concern coming into the year has been bond yields, and they started to get away from us. The 10-year was
Yeah.
up around 480. So we got lucky. The CPI came in
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, and the core CPI numbers from
Right.
November into December, they were actually down. So that took some pressure off of bond yields. But, my biggest concern would be if bond yields break out, which I don't see it right now. And yeah, like you said, if we get one tweet out of the White House, it can, send some sharp sector rotations. But the key thing is earnings are coming in pretty good.
Yeah.
I really paid attention to the big bank earnings like JP Morgan,
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs. Those earnings came in good. A lot of the tech earnings have come in pretty good. And the indices are still in uptrends. You get some rotation under the surface, like the semis got blown out the other day. The nuclear stocks got blown out the other day, and I had a couple stops that got hit in there. But what we saw was the money moved into software. It moved into these big hyperscalers like Meta. It moved into Amazon. So I expected that hit that we took on Monday could have done a lot more damage than it really did. So I think that
Yeah.
was a pretty good sign.
Yeah, I think you're right. It could have. Everything, all the charts left wicks. The other mags were doing okay. What about the recent Apple decline, Larry? And now we've rallied halfway back. Is that enough to get you interested in Apple? Did you buy it down there?
Nah, Apple's really not a stock that I do anything with. I think
Yeah,
it's a great long-term holding for people that have it, but it's a really mature company. They don't have a ton of earnings growth, so I'm not bearish on it, but it's just not a stock. I've got some Meta. I think Amazon has
yeah,
some better growth. Maybe Google has some better
yeah.
growth. So I'm not bearish on Apple, but it's not something I hold.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the star of the show yesterday, NVIDIA.
Yeah. So Nvidia,
Okay.
go
So
ahead.
we went to 116. Which I have as a major, major, major support. You
Yeah.
could draw a flat line across. Um, I happen to have gotten lucky. All right, I was short Nvidia from the week before, and
Right.
I cut. That was my initial target, but under 116, Larry, there's a lot of air. I'm looking to step back into puts on a rally in Nvidia.
Yeah,
There you go. There you go. That last shot of that moving average,
yeah.
holding it. Look at where it could go to your next moving average.
Yeah, it's not my favorite chart. And we you and I have been talking for years. I've had Nvidia since May of 2023.
Yeah,
And and right now I've got the smallest amount of Nvidia that I've had, over that 2-year run. Just because, the chart broke down. The number that I wanted to see hold was 130. So
yeah,
I was pretty bullish because you see there's a lot of
yeah,
support, here,
yeah,
here. I was pretty bullish on Nvidia if it could stay over 130. But the
yeah,
problem is when it had this big breakdown the other day on a lot of volume through that 130 level, now what
yeah,
happens is all this support that Nvidia had between 130 to
yeah.
140, that's now
Supply now.
it's a now,
Supply.
yeah, it's a ton of overhead. I'm still holding it. It's a really small piece, but it's, for me, it's not a good chart. And if I didn't have a position, it's not something that I would buy. Now, listen, it could bounce. And I think the key catalyst for NVIDIA is what's the information that comes out of China with DeepSeek, because that's a real thing. The media, it's been out there for a few weeks, but for whatever reason, the market didn't really take it seriously until Monday. And, it didn't just hit Nvidia, but it hit, these networking stocks like Arista Networks. It
Yeah,
hit anything that was related to AI data
yeah,
centers,
yeah. The
semis.
uranium, even the uranium stocks.
Yeah, yeah, because that's all about the nuclear.
Right.
So I
To
think
power those centers.
yeah. So the
Yeah,
overhang that's on the market right now is if what DeepSeek is saying is true, and there's a lot of people that have counteracted it and said that they bought, I think, 50,000 NVIDIA GPUs and things like that. But so far, the market, what it's done is it's sold first
yeah,
until it figures out what's going on. But the market's taking it seriously. Now it's been a benefit for the software stocks. You look at stocks like ServiceNow, because
right.
the train of thought is that what's bad for GPUs and data centers might be good for software and inferencing. But yeah, for NVIDIA, listen, I hope it bounces. I still have it, but it's definitely not my favorite chart right now.
Yeah, I'd get out into the gap around 136 if it gives it to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, you talked about the good fortune of the CPI. And some people are saying, in fact, Nick, guy that works here with us, is saying that TLT or notes look like they're putting in a head and shoulders bottom. Are you impressed with this rally in TLT? Are you going with it?
I'm not. So he might be
Neither am
right.
I.
He
Yeah,
might be right. You've got a major low in what
yeah,
is that, October, November of 23.
yeah, at
And
82.
that's when the 10-year hit about 490 or 495, something like that. And
Yeah,
then right here, so he could be right from a technical formation. This could be a double bottom. It could have put in a higher low right there. But I think that the backdrop for rates, I think the low end on the 10 years probably 425,
that's
because
about where. Yeah,
economic growth is still really strong.
yeah,
Payrolls are coming in good.
yeah,
If we get tariffs, and I'm definitely not an inflation expert, or a tariff expert, but if we get tariffs, that probably puts some upward pressure on bond yields. So, this might be the bottom, but I'm just not a buyer of bonds overall.
yeah. I'd like to. Yeah, okay. What is your view? I know you're a technical trader. Um, Tariffs can lead to trade wars, right? I mean, it's not a bullish economic theme, is it?
I don't think it is, but I don't think the tariffs. My view is I think tariffs might be more of a bargaining chip than
Yeah,
anything else because nobody wants to upset the apple cart. So us and China, we're each other's biggest trading partners. And then Canada, I don't know how much, how impactful they are. But with us and China, we really need each other. So we've got the tariffs, they're out there. I think they're mostly a bargaining chip. And listen, they might go through. We had a situation over the weekend. I think it was with Colombia, and we were trying to send some people back there, and then they said no, and then we said we're going to
right.
tariff everything, and then I think they said yes. So I think tariffs are a big bargaining chip, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure, how much they're going to come to fruition. But if they do, if we get heavy tariffs and big tariffs, then yeah, it probably creates some volatility in the markets.
Okay. Do you have a dollar view, Larry?
Now,
UUP?
that the dollar's been strong. So the dollar's been pretty strong. It's been pulling back recently, but I
Yeah.
don't have much of a view on the dollar.
Okay.
I know it had a pretty big run, after the election, but I'm not as dialed in on the dollar.
Okay. How about oils?
So the energy stocks, energy is a really divided group. So if you look at these,
Bifurcated.
yeah, yeah, very much. So if you look at these pipeline stocks, right, Enbridge, this is in Canada. So if the market's worried about Canadian tariffs, I don't know that it's showing up there, and maybe that's the wrong, screen that I should be looking at. But if you look at a lot of these pipeline stocks, they look really good. You know,
Yeah.
they're they're right near the highs, but then if you look at some of the big majors,
They look
Exxon,
bad. Yeah.
it's
Terrible.
near the lows. If you look at some of the refiners, Marathon is near the lows. If you look at the nat gas stocks, now here's the trick with nat gas. And I've got EQT and I've got Enbridge. But the trick with natural gas, you see, EQT took a hit about 9% on Monday. Is part of the story with natural gas
Is
is
to
that
run the data centers.
exactly right. So if you take a
Yeah.
look at the hit that natural gas took on Monday,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So what we found out the other day, at least what I found out, and I thought I knew it, but it was confirmed, is you've got sectors that are nowhere not tech whatsoever. Natural gas. You've
Yeah.
got some of these industrial stocks that got hit really hard. I mean, look at this Eaton Corporation
Why?
because they build the data centers.
Okay. So it's all about
It's
the
all tied
data.
in. So
All
you
right.
take
Wow.
nuclear, some of these industrials, these natural gas stocks, it's all one big giant,
Yeah.
AI data center. But I do like the pipelines. I like Enbridge. They've got a nice dividend yield, MPLX. And I think in energy, this is the place that I would focus on is these pipelines.
Okay. How about the mining sector? Could include, copper, gold,
Yeah,
silver.
the copper miners I don't like. So the gold
Yeah.
miners, AEM is a great chart. And
That looks good.
AEM, to the best of my knowledge, is the only gold miner that's actually breaking out to all-time highs at the same time that gold is right near the highs. Kinross up in Canada, KGC,
Yeah.
that's a really nice chart. That looks like it's ready to break out. Look at that. That's a great weekly trend. So
Yeah.
those would be my two favorite. If you look at the ETF GDX, it's not a great chart, and this is another very bifurcated group. If you look at Newmont Mining,
Yeah.
that's all the way down. So I think in these sectors like energy and gold miners, you really have to dial into where the money's going into. Copper
Right.
miners look bad. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Freeport. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Freeport's really bad. Southern Copper, these are all near the lows. So I'm not good with copper. I couldn't tell you why, if it's oversupply or if people are worried about China growth. But in the miners right now, I think you want to focus on those two, AEM and KGC.
Okay. I think AEM also used to be a big silver mine, not just
Maybe.
gold, right?
Maybe,
Uh,
and they might still be, a lot of these miners, they kind of do a little bit of everything while they're down
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But yeah, and I know Wheaton is probably the biggest, silver miner that I know of it. And that's not, it's a weird group.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, nice looks. What were those two golds that you liked again?
So
Uh,
AEM,
yeah, AEM.
yeah, great, great. Now keep in mind these are both up in Canada, which is where, those
Oh, and
Canadian gold
Kinross.
miners. Yeah,
I was,
Kinross, really nice chart, and you can see it's up
yeah,
17% year to date. Not so whatever the reason is, the market's really gravitating into these two, and I like those charts a lot.
okay. Um, well, highest conviction position that I know could change at a moment's notice going into 2025 that you think will be,
For one single stock,
or a sector.
It's tough because it's rotational, but if I had to
Okay.
pick a sector right now, I'd say communication services. And the reason is you got Meta is breaking out to new all-time highs. Now they've got earnings tonight and it's had a big run. It's up 12% over the last month. Whenever stocks, I don't really like it when stocks run up ahead of earnings because I always expect that when they run up, it sets them up for the
Yeah.
pullback.
Buy the rumor,
But
sell the fact. Yeah.
yeah, when
Yeah.
they run up into it. But Meta, if you look at Spotify, which is also in that sector, big breakout.
Yeah.
Netflix, Netflix, right near the highs. They had a great number after earnings. DoorDash is also in communication services, $76 billion market cap. And the chart that's breaking out too. So right now, I would say the communication services sector with a lot of these charts. Google's not bad. Reddit is breaking out right now. These are all in that sector. Roblox is breaking out in communication services. So really just looking at the charts, it's a super strong sector. Outside of that, I still like technology for the year. It's just I couldn't tell you if it's going to be semis or software, where it's going to be.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a more bifurcated market, even within sectors?
No.
What do you think that means?
Yeah, I think it means there's just a lot of money out there that super jumpy, and we get one headline, and because the other day that hit on Monday, that was a big hit. If you look at what happened to the
Yeah.
whole semiconductor group, they went
Yeah.
from ready to break out,
Yeah.
and this was something I posted the other.
Last Monday, people were calling it a breakout. But if you look to the left on that
Yeah,
semi, you look to the left on that semi chart,
yeah, it
and you
needs
see
over.
that gap. You see that gap back in July.
Yeah,
It filled it on that one candle exactly.
yep.
You know, the breakout trade finally filled the gap. Yeah,
Sam,
that
the biggest thing that I noticed, and I've been at this for a long time, like you have, but I don't usually see stocks that are making new all-time highs, right?
yeah, yeah,
Break down by 20% in one day. And
yeah,
and we saw it across the board. Vertiv, new
yeah.
all-time highs, that got clobbered. You look at this Celestica, new
You have
all-time.
a
So
you
when
have a
we're in a
lot of people trapped, and they're probably
yeah,
paralyzed. They don't know what to do.
well,
Uh,
I had four stocks that got stopped out, and the only thing that saved me is my position size was small. It's like 2 or 3% in each
yeah,
of these stocks. But yeah, they hit four of my stops, and there's it just is what it is. You put the stops there for a reason. But I've seen 20% drops in bear markets, and I've seen 20% drops. Like when stocks are in a long-term downtrend. Then they miss earnings, then they break down some more. But I don't often see stocks that are making new highs get hit that hard. So, but
that's
so
what
anyway,
Apple did. Apple was making new highs, and in 3 weeks it gave up 15, 20%.
yeah,
See that?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
you're
one of
right.
the weirdest tops I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're
It
right.
didn't gap.
Now,
You
at
know,
least there you had a couple chances to like, get
get
out.
out. Yeah,
Whereas on Monday, they turned
yeah,
on the lights and,
yeah.
surprise, there it was. So
You know what people are saying right now?
what?
I think I'll watch it a while.
Yeah.
Ever hear
Listen,
yourself say that?
I
You
said
know,
it on I said it on Monday.
all right,
What
I'm telling you, look, Larry is an excellent tactician, but you know why he's still in the business? Because he uses stops. So he got taken out of trades probably beneath a stop, but he doesn't have to think about what do I do now? Because his plan was already covered when he went in. Okay. He didn't say, a week later, oh, I better throw a stop in.
Yeah.
So, Larry, that's, a very key takeaway for people that if your stops aren't in, and I tried it, I would use a mental stop.
Right.
And my and they would get down there and say, well, maybe I should add, or I'll watch it for a while. But
Yeah.
anyway, using mental stops, my first stop was a mental institution.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Listen,
right, so
that's,
any
look, a guy was on my Twitter page last night and he posted that he lost 19% of his portfolio on Monday.
wow,
And you
yeah,
can't, that's hard to recover for because if you lose 19%,
you
you
got to
need
make
to make
40.
25%, right?
Yeah,
25% to get back to even. So,
yeah, yeah.
listen, the other day, and I posted this on my members page because I post everything on my website. They get my buys and my stop losses and my position sizing. So I had 4 stop losses get hit. I did take a gain in one of these nuclear stocks, but the net drawdown that I had on the day for all my closed positions was 1%. So if it's
Money management.
yeah, if it's the worst day that we've seen in a long time and all my, I get a bunch of stops hit and I just have a 1% hit, as far as my closed trades, I can survive. I sat there after for a few hours in my office and, looked at the screens and, that was about it. But then you come back in the next day with a clear head
Right.
and you just see how things develop. But if you don't have stops or correct position sizing, a day like Monday could take a lot of people out.
The difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose, so they have money left to be right with. That's Larry Tentarelli. That's your tagline, buddy. I've been
Dale, I
using
like
that
that.
for. Yeah, it's the truth. So, why don't you show people where they could get involved with you, Larry?
So the best place on Twitter, you can find me at Blue Chip Daily, and I post on there pretty frequently. And then my website is the same thing. It's bluechipdaily.com. We've got a 30-day free trial. People can join. There's no obligation, and
Nice.
they get my trades in real time. And I do a daily video. I post daily ideas. I've got members that are short-term swing traders. I've got members that are long-term investors. So I post, ideas throughout the day, and then everyone does with the ideas whatever they want to.
Okay, well, the next 30 days are going to be action packed. I encourage people to keep an eye on what Larry's keeping an eye on. Especially if you're interested in equities. As you can tell, I like FX, but I also like trading equities. So, uh, at the minimum, follow Larry at Blue Chip Daily on X at Blue Chip Daily. And I'm hearing from some of my cycle guys that February is not going to be a real good month for the market. Just a little heads up for you. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, yeah, it's possible once you get earnings out of the way. I don't
Yeah,
know we got a lot of stuff. We got the Fed today. We got a ton of
yeah,
earnings, but then once you get that out of the way, you might hit a little bit of an air pocket.
yeah. And I know people are looking for 6,400 too, and even some is over 7,000. But
I'm
one
looking
thing
for
I
I'm
go ahead.
looking for 6,800 by the end of the year. But
Okay.
I also think that there's a 10% pullback that's going to come in because, you know, the market averages, S&P averages a 10% pullback every year, and it averages a 15% pullback every 2 years. And we didn't really get much of a pullback last year.
Right.
I think we got a 9% drawdown in the S&P. So, you know, I just go in every day, you know,
Yeah.
prepared for volatility and just see what happens. But there, I will
Yeah.
say, there's a lot
I'm
of good
think.
charts out there.
Yeah, I'm thinking that happens between now and March, May. In there into the spring,
Maybe,
and
maybe,
then
you know,
and
that,
then the Fed starts, uh, priming the pump in
yeah,
the
could be.
spring.
I always get worried around July and August. You know,
Yeah.
September is usually a bad month. So, you know,
Yeah.
somewhere in this neighborhood. But I just assumed that we could get it at any time. But right now, you know, what I do is I just trade the charts that are on the screen, and I am finding a lot of stuff that's really bullish right now.
Okay. Larry Tentarelli, he's a master tactician in trading stocks, and you guys should follow him and check his stuff out. And you diversify away from your own ideas. And thank you, Larry. I hope you have a great year, buddy. We'll talk in the spring, see how
Dale, my
things are
friend,
shaking
thank
out.
you. Thank you to you too, and for all your listeners.
All right. Follow Larry. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Good luck on the Fed, and see everyone tomorrow. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.